Good afternoon. It's October 16th? No. Yes, October 16th, 2021. Episode 31 of Mommy's Pocketbook. A weekly foray into the music of yesteryear, 60s, 70s, and 80s. What was hot in the streets, what was popular amongst my mother, my mommy, and her siblings and peers, etc. I call it Mommy's Pocketbook because these are all records, 45 records that belong to my mother. They were given to me in, just bags, small little bags that were in a duffel bag. And I've just been going through them and having like something of a listening party with the people and checking out what was hot in the streets back in the day when my mom and her folks were youth and young adults. So that's why it's the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's called Mommy's Pocketbook because it's kind of when you delve into someone's music taste and the things that they own, records that they actually spent money on to purchase because they were into them, kind of gives you a little idea of what their interest might have been, what they were into, as far as like music. And Mommy's Pocketbook, that was my mother's word of choice for her handbag or purse that she carried, pocketbook. So if you ever get a chance to look into a woman's pocketbook, purse, handbag, tote bag, whatever, trust, you are privy to some super, super top secret knowledge. And that's why it's called Mommy's Pocketbook. I am your host, Zombie. This is my channel, Zombie to the Rhythm on Twitch. Of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, it's on Kane Dizzle. But yes, Zombie, I'm your host. And I'm just shining it up, getting a little bit of extra dust off of some of these records. And then we're going to get into 10 of them, which I choose randomly from the batch. We got a little bit, maybe like 3 months left. I'm not sure what's gonna be the next level of this show or the next show that's gonna be on this showcase, this feed. But we'll see. We still got a few more weeks ahead of us, at least a month or two worth of records to listen to. But without further ado, let's get to the first of our 10 chosen records. It's coming from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Okay, the records are not in order, and that is a bother. Give me a second to get myself together. So, the first record is coming from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. And Junior Walker and the All-Stars are R&B group. It features Autry DeWalt, who's, from Arkansas. He's a singer and saxophonist. You know this saxophone from Junior Walker and the All-Stars when you hear it because it's prevalent in their hit songs. Also in the band was Willie Woods on the guitar, James Graves on the drums, and Vic Thomas on the keyboards. And like I was saying, you know them for that key saxophone rollout that happens in the song, because you know them from Shotgun, da, 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 should've won right now. Yeah, that's them. Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Shotgun was number 4, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard charts in 1965. Number 1 at the same time the R&B charts for 4 whole weeks. They were one of Motown's signature acts in the 1960s, originally called the Rhythm Rockers. They became All-Stars in 1961 when they were recommended to Harvey Fuqua, who signed into his label. Harvey, he was from the Moonglows, the former Moonglow. And you know who else was in the Moonglows? Mr. Marvin Gaye, DC. Anyway, so by 1961, they had quite the local reputation, and that's when they caught his ear, and he was able to sign into his label. When his label kind of was taken over by Berry Gordy Jr., Junior Walker and the All-Stars became members of Motown's Soul Records. And they stayed there making hits through 1972. And they kind of disbanded in 1979. And after that, Walker released a little bit of solo music. He was releasing solo music up until 1983, believe it or not. So, let's get into this Junior Walker and the All-Stars. This one is called These Eyes. Oh my God, all their aliases on here. No, just two. Regular one, Dolores and Rochelle. Anyway, you see that. Just written on the... But yeah, that's Soul Records. Soul, Soul, one of Motown's subsidiaries. We'll talk about that in a minute. This one's called These Eyes. It's Junior Walker and the All-Stars. In 1969, it was a song that peaked at number 16 on the Hot 100. Hold it now. We gotta make sure we get this sound right, baby. Gotta make sure we get the sound right, baby. And boom. Junior Walker and the All-Stars. These Eyes. Peaking at number 16 on the Billboard charts in 1969. Told you that saxophone is prevalent. These Eyes were written by Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings. Both Canadian musicians. Randy, a guitarist and singer-songwriter, and Burton Cummings, a musician and songwriter who was the lead singer of the Guess Who, of which Randy Bachman was also a member. Randy Bachman is also really prevalent as far as a musician comes in Canada. Part of the Canada Walk of Fame twice, the Soulcast Lifetime Achievement Award, and Musicians Hall of Fame and museum. I'm sorry, he's a part of all of that. Yeah, you broke it. Bring my world to honey. Oh, this honey, not express and hurting. Hurt on me, yeah. I would never be free, no, baby. You took your power with me, yeah. And you spoke. Girl, you spoke it. Whoa. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but you're never gonna see another one like I had with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but you're never gonna see another one like I had with you. Mr. Archer Duvall got with was called the Jumping Jacks. They adopted the stage name of Junior Walker after he adopted the nickname of Junior Walker after a childhood nickname. Junior Walker and the All-Stars right there. Let's get into this B-side. We're just gonna jump right into it. It's called. Let me tell you, if this one thing they're gonna do back in the day on these soul records, R&B records, is they're gonna give that song a title that's laid out. This song is called "I've Got to Find a Way to Win Maria Back." I mean, that's a lot. Anyway, I've got to find a way to win Maria back. B-side of Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Let's start that over because we like to hit the very beginnings. Let's hit the top. Find a Way to Bring Maria Back is written by Johnny Bristol. You know Johnny Bristol, one of our Motown writers from 1957 to 1972. You know, of course, he wrote for the Supremes, Smokey Robinson, and so many more other artists that were on Motown records. And then later, after he stopped working for Motown, he went on to work for CBS. But he also cut some singles with Jackie Weavers. And in 1974, embarked on a solo career, and the song Hang On In There, Baby was one of the hits from him. He released 6 solo albums from 1974 to 83, including the charting single My Girl, My Guy, which was a 1980 duet with Amy Stewart. I gotta find a way to win Maria back. If I don't, my mind's gonna crack and crack, crack, crack. I gotta find a way to win Maria back. I gotta find a way to win Maria back. So yes, this is Junior Walker and the All-Stars. This is released on Soul Records, which is a subsidiary label of the Motown umbrella. Not one of the big 3 top labels of the Motown franchise. That was Tamla, Motown, and Gordy. But it was one of the most pivotal and one of the most long-standing imprints. It closed on 1978. Started out in 1969. So there you have it. In that order. First out of the box. Of the batch. I don't know. Anyway, that was Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Let's get into our number 2 choice. Randomly out of our bag. It's coming. Why are my things all out of order like this? But it's coming from the Capitals. The Capitals are an R&B trio from Detroit. Featuring Sam George on vocals and drums, Donald Storball on guitar, Richard McDougall on keyboards. They performed in 1962. They were originally called, at that time, the Three Caps. They were performing at a local teen dance, headlined by a singer, Barbara Lewis, when they met Ollie McLaughlin. Ollie McLaughlin was also the owner of the record label that this was put out under, and it's called Karen. But Ollie McLaughlin was also the headliner that they were performing with, Barbara Lewis's producer, and so he was able to get behind them and help them put out their debut single, the 1963 Dog and Cat. It didn't really go anywhere, so the group kind of broke up, and then 3 years later, George the vocalist drummer got McLaughlin back on the phone and was like, hey, we're getting the band back together. And so he was like, matter of fact, my man Donald Storball, that's the guitarist, I think he has like a mega hit that he wrote that I think we need to get in there and put this out. And so they did. And indeed they did. So I'm about to play for you by the Capitals, written by one of the members, George Storball on guitar, peaked at number 7 on the pop Billboard 100 chart in 1966. You might know this song. I'm pretty sure you definitely know the song. This is the Capitals with Cool Jerk. From the scene where he goes to the bathroom and catches his uncle singing this in the shower. He's like, get out of here, you little pervert. Anyway, also it's been used, and altered for different reasons for Cool Whip promotion. And it's just a great song. Who doesn't like the Cool Jerk?
You're looking, baby. You're smoking. I want to hear you all. Come on, people. Hey, when they see me walking down the street, they think twice and then they speak. On their faces they don't wear smirk, 'cause they know I'm the king of the cool jazz.
If you're alive and you're watching me, I'm sorry for looking so shifty. It's just that the blinds are open and I can see the heavy change in the weather. Like it was super sunny, like not even 20 minutes ago, and it's so dark now outside. But the weather is about to change. Maybe some storms are coming in, but I'm inside, so I guess I'm good. Anyway, that's Cool Jerk right there by the Capitals, and that was their biggest hit. They did have a few follow-ups to Cool Jerk, Zigzagging, we got a thing that's in a groove. They kind of failed to match the success of Cool Jerk. I mean, come on, if you come out the bat, you have a dud, you break up, you get back together, and you come right out the bat with the number 7. And then you try to duplicate that over and over. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So anyway, they kind of opted to only, after that, write dance songs, but those didn't gain as much interest either. So by 1969, Karen issued 3 final singles, 1968's Ain't That Terrible, and 1969's When You're in Trouble. And also, I Thought She Loved Me, and that was before they dissolved. The band dissolved at the roughly around 1969, 1970. And that's what happened with the Capitals. But that Cool Jerk is still in rotation in the media and entertainment industry. We're going to listen to the B-side, written by Barbara Lewis. Remember the headlining performer that they performed with when they were teens before they got their record deal with Karen? Barbara Lewis is the writer of this song. And Barbara Lewis, in her own right, is a soul singer, songwriter. Her smooth style kind of influenced R&B. That's what's said of her, that her style kind of influenced R&B. She began writing songs at the age of 4 years old, but she began no 9 years old. I'm sorry, but she began recording as a teenager with Ollie McLaughlin, and she's best known for 1963's number 3 song, "Hello Stranger," which was number 3 for her, and "Baby I'm Yours," which was number 11 in 1965 for her as well. This was like I said, this was released on Ollie McLaughlin's record label Karen. We'll get into a little bit more background about that title in a second. This is "Hello Stranger" by the Capitals. With the Capitals, like I said, this was released on Karen record label, which was owned by Ollie McLaughlin, the producer of the Capitals, and also the producer of the writer of that song, Barbara Lewis. Karen was one of 4 labels owned by Ollie McLaughlin, all named after his daughters, except for one. It was called Ruth. The other 2 outside of Karen were Moira and Carla. Most of them distributed by Atco, small label out of Detroit. The Capitals right there. Yes, that is our number 2 choice out of our 10 records taken out of Mommy's Pocketbook. We're going to get into our 3 right away. Not going to dilly-dally around. It's coming from the man, also known as he's a legend. The man, the myth, the legend, Al Green. Al Green, named Albert Green at birth, from Dansby, Forest City, Alabama. He sang in a gospel group until his father kicked him out for listening to Jackie Wilson, which is so weird to me. Whenever I think about that, I know that a lot of our R&B and soul and doo-wop, a lot of our black musicians grew up singing gospel or grew up in really religious household with preacher and parents, preacher and reverend parents like that. So they were, kind of strict. But Jackie Wilson sang "To Be Loved" and "Your Love Keeps Lifting Me." It's not like he was singing sexual healing. But anyway, got kicked out of the band. Out of the home, because he was doing that secular thing and family wasn't playing that. So he started a group called Al and the Creations, and they ended up changing their name to the Soulmates. They had one hit during that time. They got them a successful appearance on the Apollo stage in New York City. Yes, it's called Back Up Train, and that was in 1967. And then, of course, after that, Al went out on his own, and since then, you know him for things like "Let's Stay Together," "Love and Happiness," "I'm Still in Love with You," and we're about to listen to another one of his bangers. It's called "Here I Am." Come and take me, Al Green. top 10 hit from Al Green in 1973. We're going to go ahead and flip it on over and listen to the B-side, which was solely written by Mr. Al Green himself. And while we're doing that, we're also going to give him his flowers while he is still here. Mr. Al Green is still alive and with us. And yes, you automatically hear that sample right there. It's been sampled by Biggie and so many other people. Biggie as in the Notorious B.I.G., the rapper. Yes. That beat's dope. Anyway, it's called I'm Glad You're Mine. It's written by Al Green himself. Yeah.
Baby, I'm so glad you're here. Baby, I've got something to say, my baby. Yeah, I'm so glad you're mine. Oh, baby, why did it take so long? Oh, baby, only made my love grow strong. Baby, yeah, I'm so glad you're mine. Yeah, when darkness gathers around me, friends forsake me, I know you'll never let me down. I know you'll never let me down. Baby, I'm not gonna leave you alone, baby. On top of that, I'll give you what you want, baby. Yeah, I'm so glad you're mine. Yeah, when darkness gets around me, friends forsake me, I know you'll never let me down. I know you'll never let me down. Ooh, boy, baby, I'm gonna turn my back and walk away. Oh, baby, I'll see you another day, hey, baby. Baby, I'm so thankful for your love, yeah. So thankful for your love, yeah, baby. Glad you're mine.
Sorry about that. If the Twitch got interrupted. But anyway, that's Al Green. I'm Glad You're Mine. Al Green was on High Records. High Records was a legendary Memphis rockabilly soul label formed in about 1957 by Ray Harris, record store owner Joe Quelfy. I'm not really sure how to say his name, but anyway, former Sun Records staff producers Bill Contrell and Quentin Clonch, and a trio of silent partners including Quelfy's Liar, Nick Pish in 1957. Yada, 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 yada. Notice I said 1957 to 1970. That was around the time Ray Harris was the co-owner. After 1970, remember I said Willie Mitchell, one of the producers, was co-owner from 1970 to 79. Anyway, they were distributed by London Records from the mid-1960s until it was sold to Al Bennett's Cream Records in 77. Then it got sold to Motown, but Motown was being real sneaky and only reissued Al Green's music, which was a violation of the licensing agreement. So they took it back and gave it to Cream's predecessor. Now the distribution was done through Fat Possum in North America and Australia, and Demon Music Group in Europe. So don't come for me, copyright goons. Anyway, also like I said, don't forget to give Al Green his flowers because he's been studied in our lives, affecting our lives, even though he did make a change to gospel music at one point in time. You've heard the infamous story of the Hot Grits. Well, that was kind of a turning point in his life where he gave his life over to Christ. But he did make some more secular music. You ever heard of the little holiday ditty that comes out around every now and then called "Put a Love in Your Heart," which was a duet between Al Green and Annie Lennox. In 1988, it was a number 9. It's from the movie Scrooge. You should check it out. It's a holiday classic. He also is a BMI Icon Award winner. He sold more than 20 million records. He's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee from 1995. Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest of All Times artist. Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. He's gotten 11 Grammys. And the Kennedy Honors. And, yeah. He's just dope, and he's still with us. So give Al Green his flowers while he is still here. And then after that, let's get into our number 4 choice of our 10 songs that 10 records that we pull out of Mommy's Pocketbook. It is coming from Bohannon. Not the Tom Tom Club. That was just a shout out to Bohannon, but the actual Bohannon. The funny thing is, it's called Bohannon Band, even though when you refer to him in the industry, you just refer to him as Bohannon. Anyway, a little bit of background about Bohannon is the birth name of Hamilton Bohannon. He's a musician, songwriter, producer, established as a drummer and a band leader when he was hanging around with Stevie Wonder and a host of other Motown acts from 1965 to 72. You know, he was doing drum work and stuff for Temptations, Four Tops, Supreme, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye. He was a Stevie Wonder just from 65 to 67, but then after that, from 67 to 72 is when he was like doing a lot of work with the other artists in Motown. He's got 18 studio albums that he did for Dakar, and this is the record label that the music I'm about to play for you is on. Let me show you the record. Dakar, just a black record, got a little bit of color on one side, and then Dakar on the other side. Yeah, for Dakar, 18 studio albums for Dakar. He also was on Mercury. He also was on Mercury and his own record label, Phase 2, which was around from 1973 and 83, and had some other affiliations with some other mainstays in the industry. When Motown left Detroit for L.A., in the early 70s, Bohannon stayed behind and formed his own band and released 21 albums between 1973 and 1980. His best known song is Let's Start the Dance. It was a number 9 1982 R&B record and a number 7 disco record. And you probably have heard it in every single breakdancing movie. And if it's a movie about dancing back in the day, or if you're going to a party and it's a dance party from back in the day, this song will come up because it will get you out there pop, locking, moving, and grooving. That's not the song we're about to listen to, though. Sorry. The one we're about to listen to, written by Hamilton himself, also along with Leroy Emanuel and Marvin Regan, is called Stop and Go. Bohannon Band. Or Bohannon. Stop and Go. Leroy Emanuel was a soul, funk, blues, gospel, rock guitarist, songwriter, performer, and singer from Atlanta. And and often affiliated with doing work for Motown Records. Marvin Reagan was a soul funk guitarist known as Wah Watson. You might see him credited as that on his many Motown recordings of the 60s, and worked with groups like Temptations and Marvin Gaye. Just known as Bohannon right there with Stop and Go. Very boogie oogie oogie. I love it. Felt like I wanted to put my skates on it and do a couple turns for you. But no, I don't want to like knock everything over and be extra reckless out here. Let's listen to the other side in the meantime. The B-side is called Save Their Souls. Also written by Mr. Bohannon. Produced by Mr. Bohannon and written by Bohannon together with those other two, Leroy Emanuel and Marvin Reagan. Save Their Souls. Bohannon. I'll give you a little bit of background about that in a second. Just a little bit. It's definitely a little darker than the really dancey tracks that Berlin has had, but it is super, super dope. So super, super dope that it's been sampled so many times. One of my favorite, I guess, uses of this song is from Music Soul Child, a song called Cut Up from 2002, but it's also sampled on Jay-Z's Cashmere Thoughts in 1996. You know, Someone Like You by Toto in 1996. I mean, Hootie Mac, Bell Biv DeVoe in 1993. Come on, listen to it. You can't help but want to get in on this track. Oh, I said I was going to give you some background about the Genius of Love shout out. Behind it. I mean, that's just it. I mean, he was a dope drummer for Stevie Wonder back in the day. Very popular in the industry. So, you guys got some props given to him by the Tom Tom Club.
Save the people. Save the people. Save us all.
And that was Bohannon Band on Dakar Records, which is initially manufactured and distributed by Cotillion Records, which was the division of Atlantic Recording Corporation between 1967 and late 1971. Subsequently, it was distributed by the parent New York label Brunswick, also between 1972 and 1982. Yes, let's get into our number 5 of our 10 records that we randomly select out of Mommy's Pocketbook. This one is coming from another You and I. Remember, I talked about You and I record label last week because I was like, I don't know if it's Uni or You and I. So I think it's Uni, but whatever. You and I is what it says. I'll show you the record deal in case you're like, what? You and I. You see that up top? Anyway, I think it's Uni because I think it's related to you because of the I don't know. Let me just not make it deep. We're going to listen to music by Betty Everett. Betty Everett was an R&B singer and pianist. You know her for the Shoop Shoop song, It's in His Kids, That's Where It Is. Yes, it peaked at number 6 on the pop charts in 1964. She sang gospel growing up in Greenwood, Mississippi, before moving to Chicago and getting into the secular music. She began recording for Cobra Records in 1958. Then she joined VJ in the early 60s and started to land hit records. Her original version of You're No Good, remember, You're No Good, You No Good, You No Good. Even though she sang it with such fire and verve, it didn't make that much impact until it was turned into a number 1 pop hit for Linda Ronstadt. Go figure, in 1975. But then came the Shoop Shoop song, which was her first major release. And I already told you about that. Banger, hitting number 6 on the charts in 1964. Her next success was a duet with Jerry Butler. It's called Let It Be Me. That was a number 5 R&B hit in 1964. But her finest solo act was the song you're about to hear. It's called There'll Come a Time. This is Betty Everett. Number 26 on the charts in 1969.
Every girl's a life. There'll come a time when the heart won't take no more. She'll have to cry, baby. Sometimes you see the rich has to cry, the poor has to cry, you have to cry, and I gotta cry. Rich has to cry, the poor has to cry, you have to cry, and I gotta cry.
You hear that? Rich gotta cry, the poor gotta cry, you gotta cry, I gotta cry. Everybody gotta cry. There'll come a time. Betty Everett right there. Written by Floyd Smith and Eugene Recorder. Floyd Smith, singer, soul singer, songwriter, producer, who's married to Lolita Hathaway. You know Lolita Hathaway. She is that voice that goes, it's such a sweet, good vibration. Such a sweet sensation. On Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Yes, that is her voice that they credited and sampled on that. But that's who Floyd Smith was married to, and he was one of the writers of this song, and along with Eugene Record, who was the lead singer of the Shy from the 1960s and 70s, and also had 3 solo albums of his own before he left the Shy in 1988 to become a gospel singer. Yes, Betty Everett right there with There'll Come a Time, her 1969, I was going to say 96, her 1969 number 26 hit on the pop charts. Let's listen to the B-side. It's called Take Me. This one was written by Benjamin Caffey. Not a lot of information known about him, but I'll tell you a little bit more about the record label in a minute.
Baby, I will give you all my heart and soul, 'cause I got all you need and so much more. If you want it, you can get it. If you need it, yeah, you got it. If you don't want it, don't play with it. Here I am now, baby. Take me, oh, take me, baby. All of my life I've been searching for my man. Now that I got him, gonna do all again. If you need money, you can get it. If you need loving, yeah, you got it. If you're in doubt, don't worry, baby, 'cause this little girl gonna pull you out. Now here I am, oh baby, take me, hey, take me, baby.
Betty Everett right there. This song was written by Benjamin Caffey, like I said, produced by Johnny Cameron. Not a lot of information known about either of them, but we do know that the producer, Johnny Cameron, was a funk soul producer, arranger, and songwriter from Chicago. This was released on UNI Records, which was established towards the end of 1966 by MCA record label, and it operated through their Universal Records division, which is one of the reasons why I think it's supposed to be Uni for Universal. But anyway, the first releases appeared around January, February of 1967, although the label didn't last but so long. It was retired in 1973 in favor of just using MCA records. In 1988, however, the label was briefly revived as Uni, but Dash Records, so Uni Records. And there you have that in that order. That was Betty Everett right there. That was our number 5 choice out of Mommy's Pocketbook. Randomly selected by, might I add. Let's get into our number 6. And it's coming from Mel and Tim. Mel and Tim, you say. Who are they? Mel and Tim are an R&B vocal duo from Holly Springs, Mississippi. They were cousins, Mel Hardin and Tim McPherson. They made their way to Chicago eventually via St. Louis, and they were discovered by Gene Chandler and signed to Bamboo Label. Bamboo Label was partially a family thing, but they kind of became like, if you wonder who Gene Chandler is, if you don't know, Gene Chandler of the doo-wop Duke of Earl fame, yep, that Duke of Earl. They were signed to the Bamboo Label in 1969. They scored a top 10 R&B also single with the good-humored classic Backfield in Motion. If you listen to that song, it's like talking about Backfield in Motion from like the football standpoint, but also love life standpoint. It's cute. And they went gold and sold over 1 million in sales for that song. Later that year, they hit the top R&B 20 with this song that we're about to hear, and it's called "Good Guys Only Win in the Movies," an R&B top 20 from the duo of Mel and Tim.
Treated her tenderly, oh yeah. She pretended that she cared while she only laughed at me. Oh, but like she deserved it. I never knew how she flirted. Now it's me that's hurting. What a mess without her. Good guys only win in the movies. Yes, they do. They ride my horses, girls, and their friends, everyone. Yeah, good guys only win in the movies, baby, yeah.
Oh, that is hilarious. Says they ride white horses and they're friends with everyone. You know what? That makes sense though.
I stuck right by you, honey. Both big and thin. Girl, I didn't over. You know you turned the table. I don't think I'll make it, but I'm gonna make it on my own. Yeah, good guys only win in the movies. Yes, they do now. They ride my horses, girl, they're friends to everyone.
This song co-written by Mr. Eugene Dixon, a.k.a. Mr. Gene Chandler of Duke of Earl fame, and James Thompson. I think that was an accurate depiction of how that's the true statement. They ride wild horses and they're friends with everyone in the movies. But that was Mel and Tim right there. Like I said, R&B vocal duo from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Also cousins. That was released on the Bamboo record label, which was, a small Chicago-based label from around 1968 to 70. Not very long-lived. And it was run by Yolanda Hardin, who was Mel's mother. And, of course, the aunt of Tim McPherson. Let's get to the other side, the B-side, which is called If I Found That I Was Wrong. It is Mel and Tim with another Debbie Jam.
Once I had a girl, she was fine as could be, and I thought nobody could ever take my girl away from me, but I
and Tim, along with Jane Dixon, of course, Jane Chandler, aka Jane Chandler. In 1971, they ended up signing with Barry Beckett at Muscle Shoals Sound Studio and moving over to Stax Records, where they hit number 19 and got a top 5 R&B hit with Starting All Over Again. They did perform at the late 1972 charity concert, Watch Stax, and were featured in the documentary film of the same title. And they also had a self-titled album in 1973, but they faded away shortly after that. And that was Mel and Tim. Not Mel, but Mel. Mel and Tim. Cousin duo from Mississippi. Let's get into a classic star right here. Even though they went through a little bit of rockiness in terms of respect in the game. At one point in time, we get 2 hits for one, kinda. But this is Mr. Bobby Womack, R&B singer, songwriter, guitarist from Cleveland, nicknamed The Preacher. He never really got his proper respect due from the pop audience. Boy, he was a constant hit maker throughout the 60s and 70s. Like I always tell you, for black music, it doesn't always have to be a chart hit for it to be a hit in the hood, okay? And I don't mean the hood as in the ghetto or whatever, but whatever neighborhood that's where black people are living and listening to black music. It didn't have to be on the charts for it to be successful and popular. So, anyway, he toured as a guitarist with his siblings, Cecil, Curtis, Harry, and Friendly Jr. as the Womack Brothers, and they did gospel music. And they were chosen to open up a local show for the Soul Stirrers in 1953, where Bobby befriended singer Sam Cooke. So when Cooke formed his own SAR label, he recruited the Womack Brothers with the idea of transforming them to a crossover R&B act. And then they got kicked out of the house, of course, like I was talking about earlier. A lot of these early black musicians who were doing R&B, soul, doo-wop, blues, whatever, came from a religious household where that was frowned upon. Secular music was frowned upon. So they ended up, leaving home sometimes because of the disapproval of their family. So they got kicked out of the house. But Cooke wired them some money and to buy a car and told them to drive out to L.A. So they did that. And they made several recordings on SAR over between 1960 and 61. And then Cooke convinced them to record an R&B music and renamed them the Valentines. And in 1962, they secured a top 10 hit on R&B charts with Looking for a Love. And then he sent them on the road behind James Brown. So they had good practice to get out there and really hone their skills. So, that's how that all started from the beginning. But let's listen to this one little ditty right here. I said we get two hits for one only because he's covering a hit of someone else's. It's Sweet Caroline. Yes, that Sweet Caroline. Da, da, da. Good times never seem so good. The one written by Neil Diamond. Well, this is Bobby Womack's version. It didn't quite hit like Neil Diamond's, but here it is. Sweet Caroline, Bobby Womack version.
Where it began, I can't begin to know when, but that I know it's growing strong. Yes, it is. Was in the spring, and spring became a summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? And oh, I like this. Touching hands, oh, reaching out, oh, touching me. And all I can say about it is that Sweet Caroline. The good time never seems so good. I want you to believe in that. I've been trying to believe that they never seems so lonely. Are we feeling? Are we falling too? That's anyway. And when I hurt one's off my shoulder, how can I hurt when I'm holding you? Back to my part again. Oh, touching warm, reaching out, oh, touching you, oh, that's touching me. I gotta feel my sweet
Da. If you've been in any pubs or beer gardens or yada yada, you know that if this song comes on, it becomes a sing-along. Anyway, this was written by Neil Diamond, of course, a Brooklyn, New York pop rocker and guitarist, singer, and songwriter. Also, Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1984. So Neil Diamond is that dude. Okay. And this went number 4 for him in 1969. But like I said, this is the Bobby Womack cover of that song. Didn't quite hit as hard for him, but he still had other bangers, so that's all right. Sweet Caroline right there. We're going to listen to the actual banger. Like I said, it don't have to be super duper high hitting chart hit for it to be a hit in the hood to the black folks. Because this song right here, you put this song on at a gathering, the meanest of two steps or slides are going to come up, even though it's quite the slow song. And it was number 31. Okay. It's Harry Hippie by Mr. Bobby Womack.
Everybody claims that they want the best things out of life, but not everyone wanna go through the toils and strife. Like this particular fella walks around all day long singing, shine. Harry Hippie lies asleep and shit. Life don't bug him, cause he thinks he's got it made. He never worried about nothing in particular. But ooh, he might even sell free press on Sunset. I like to help a man when he's down, but I can't help him much when he's sleeping on the ground. It's like a bottle of water, Harry just flows through life. Walks around all day long singing the song. Oh, yeah. Mary Hippie, she's Harry's lady. Panhandles pennies just to feed Harry's baby. She can write on a story so incredible. Man, you wanna help her take the food on and put it on the table. I like to help a man when he's down, but I can't help you, Harry, if you wanna sleep on the ground. Sorry, Harry, oh, you're too much weight to carry around. But he still walks around all day long singing this song. Shine, shine on, shine, street child.
Harry Hippie right there. This is written by James Ford, singer-songwriter. Awesome song. Kind of melancholy, but you know, it sounds great. Bobby Womack had an awesome voice. A little bit more about him. Respect what I said. Respect got a little shaky for him at one point in time. Because after Sam Cooke died in December of 1964, 3 months later, Bobby Womack decided to marry Cook's widow, Barbara Campbell, and of course that looked a little weird to everybody, who kind of accused him of trying to be an opportunist, looking to cash in on Sam Cooke's legacy. He kind of felt like he needed to do that too, because as being close to Sam Cooke, to look out for his wife, or whatever. So he started, doing some backing guitar work for the likes of Ray Charles, and a lot of writing for Wilson Pickett. Now, the Wilson Pickett writing really kind of pushed him back into the mainstream in a positive way, and so it allowed him to start back making those hits and jammy jams we all love and respect. So this was released on United Artists record label, which is a subsidiary of the United Artists Film Studio, pretty much founded by Max E. Youngstein, initially to distribute the records of its own soundtracks. Of course, it started branching out to recording music of different genres, and there you have it, the representation of the United Artists Records. That's what it looks like. Anyway, let's move on to our number 8, which comes from Babylon Records, and it is Executive Suite, who I think we might have listened to some Executive Suite music maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Anyway, Executive Suite. Okay, sorry. Executive Suite is an R&B group from Philly. It's a quartet featuring Vincent Untu, Harry Tootin, William Tyler, and Charles Conyers. All of them were in other groups before then. They were formed in 1970, but before that, William Tyler and Harry Tootin sang with the Millionaires on Castle Records, and William Tyler also sang with a group called the Jewels, and Charles Conyers sang with a group called the Love Notes. So they were all singing before they got together to sing. Their first initial single didn't chart. It was called Christine Mother Nature, but they had background vocals and writing from not so popular then, but burgeoning writer Daryl Hall. Yes, the Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. And that was released on Jubilee Records. From there, their next release was a smooth Philly ballad called "I'm a Winner Now," and that was in 1972. And it's probably the biggest song of their career, which got them picked up for national distribution on Babylon in 1963. So they moved over to Babylon, which used Sigma Sound studio facilities, and that connected them to old friends like Bunny Sigler, Bobby Eli, Norman Harris. These are all big names that you've heard me mention before when we talk about writing and production. And also Phil Hurt with 2 T's, who decided, let's go ahead and give him a shot, all right? And, Sigma Sound was a recording studio founded by the recording engineer Joe Tarja in 1968. So, after that, they were able to, start making a little bit of noise because they had great writers and producers behind them. And we're going to listen to one of those songs co-written by one of the people I just mentioned, James Sigler. I said Bunny, but I'll give you a little bit of background of why this Sigler changed from Bunny to James in a minute. First, let's listen to the A side of Executive Suite, this EP, and it is called Your Love is Paradise. this one was written by James Sigler and Alan Felder. Alan Felder, another good Philly sound producer. But James Sigler was a soul, funk, and disco songwriter. He was the brother of the artist and producer and songwriter singer Bunny Sigler. This is co-written along with Alan Felder, who was a close associate of Norman Harris, one of those big names I just mentioned up there. He's also one of the integral artists and, affiliated with the Philly Sound, and he was often working with closely with Ron Tyson, and he's a soul, disco songwriter producer. So that's who's behind this awesome song right here by Executive Suites. That's so weird how some of these records go off like that. Anyway, that was Executive Suite of Your Love is Paradise. Let's listen to The Other Side, written by Joe Hill. Not much information given about the background from Joe Hill, but it's the writer of the song. It's called I'm Leaving This Time by Executive Suite.
Met you, I knew I loved you, baby. Girl, I could feel the magic of your touch, drawing me closer, 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 baby. When I kiss your lips, I felt my body tremble. Girl, I could feel deep inside of me a fire burning, 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 burning. You know why, baby? Your love is burning. So good love, and it's burning tonight. Your love is burning. Your love is burning. So good love, and it's burning tonight. When I look at you, I see someone so dark tender. You are as gentle as a butterfly. When we make love, so satisfied. You know why, baby? Your love is paradise. Sugar and love, and it's paradise. Your love, baby. Sugar and love,
Executive Suite right there. That's called I'm Leaving This Time. And this was released on Babylon Records, which was created in November of 1972 in New York. And it was part of Babylon Recording Corporation. It lasted till December of 1981, so a pretty decent amount of time, almost a decade, before it was dissolved. But yes, that is Executive Suite right there. Our number 8, we only have 3 more songs coming out of Mommy's Pocketbook for this week episode. I'm sorry, 2 more songs, 9 and 10. This is our 9th one, coming from Billy Stewart, off of Chess Records. Billy Stewart is an R&B singer from DC. You know, anytime they're from the hometown, I gotta make a big deal out of it. He started out, well, he's known for his kind of scat technique, like stuttering delivery. He started out singing gospel with his mother's group, the Stewart Gospel Singers, as a teen. Then he moved into secular music by filling in occasionally for the Rainbows, a DC area vocal group led by future soul star Don Covey. Also, another Rainbow substitute was Mr. Marvin Gaye. So, he was first discovered as a pianist, not a singer. While passing through on a tour, Bo Diddley heard him playing backstage and offered him a job as a backing musician. So, look at that. Look at how the universe works. Put you in different positions to succeed. Let's listen to the A side of this EP. It's called How Nice It Is by Billy Stewart, DC.
How nice it is to have someone to call your own. I said I know you got someone to love that makes you feel alright. You got someone to love, everything will be so nice. 'Cause you got someone to love.
This was written by Billy Stewart himself. So, yeah, get your cons, baby.
Love's a wonderful feeling if you know how to use it. Just remember, my friends, gonna tell of you. I'm a nice kid. By her side, how nice it is to hold her hand and to be her guide. Well, I said right now, you got someone to love, makes you feel so good. You got someone to love, you don't have to be alone. You got someone to love.
Billy Stewart cut his first single, Billy Blues, for Chess in 1956. Then he recorded for OK in 1957, a song called Billy's Heartache, backed by the Marquis, which is another group that featured Mr. Marvin Gaye. So Chess Records, which is what this is released on also, was one of the premier blues labels of the 1950s and 60s, also releasing R&B, soul, jazz, gospel, rock. It is owned by brothers who immigrated from Poland, Leonard and Phil Chess. They owned an upscale nightclub in the south side of Chicago. They would also always have all the blues greatest coming through. One day they realized they're not being recorded. We should kind of get in on this. So they bought a small R&B label called the Aristocrat of Records in 1947. They bought out those remaining partners for 2 years. And then by 1950, it was all theirs, and they changed it to the name of Chess. Of course, it ended up going through different hands in sales after a while. In 1969, it went through General Recording Tape sale, I think about $6.5 million, which is a whole lot of money in 1969. And then it ended up getting sold from GRT to All Platinum. And if you know anything about All Platinum from how I talk about them randomly and frequently, All Platinum was Sylvia Robinson's imprint. And you know Sylvia Robinson because Sugar Hill Records. Let's get into the B side. It's called No Girl. I don't know if it's that, but that's the way I said it just now. But it's called No Girl. And it is, again, DC's own Billy Stewart.
I saw on TV stories as sweet as can be. They went from tears to breakup, loneliness back to makeup. I watched the kids as they were dancing, having fun and holding hands. I wish I could do it too, but there is no girl. I see on the beach lovers gather there to meet, a blanket and a radio, cool breezes from the waters that flow. Oh love, where are you? What I see, don't you know? I said I like it too. I know I can't go, 'cause there is no girl. I find her wishing well. Here is the story I tell. I'm lonely and I'm blue. Is there something that you can do? No girl for me. No future as I can see. What's a heart without a mate? Why must I have to do it? I see on the beach lovers gather there to meet, a blanket and a radio, cool breezes from the waters that flow. Oh love, I said where are you? What I see, don't you know? I said I like it too. I know I can't go, 'cause there is no girl. No girl.
Yes, that's No Girl by Billy Stewart. This song has quite a few writers. Bernie Williams, soul singer often associated with producer Joe Stevens. Bernard Miller, singer-songwriter and pianist of Chicago. Carl Smith, one of the co-authors of Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher and Rescue Me. And Billy Davis, singer, songwriter, record producer, became manager of his cousin Lawrence Payton's doo-wop group called The Ames. Started sending their recordings to Chess, where the label changed that group's name to The Four Tops. So, got some good writing right there. He also worked with Berry Gordy through the relationship with Gwen Gordy. He wrote under the name Tyron Carlo. Co-wrote Repetit for Jackie Wilson. Also, you ever hear the Coca-Cola commercial, like to give the world a Coke? Well, that's his song. It was originally called I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. He wrote that and a whole bunch of other jingles, Nabisco, all kinds of things. So that was one of the writers for that song, No Girl, for Billy Stewart. Last record of the evening, and we're about to go way off from the 60s till 1982, I believe. Anyway, 1983. The last song of the last record of the evening is coming from one Cyndi Lauper, who also, where's my little prop? Got to show my little scepter every time because we have to give Cyndi Lauper her flowers because she is still here, pressing and moving on, moving and shaking in the world of entertainment and media. We're going to listen to the hit song first, of course. But let me give you a little bit of background about Cyndi Lauper. See, it's not always just R&B soul. It's also some pop too, and then some rock sometimes. These are the things my mom, these were her records, my mommy, this is Mommy's Pocketbook. These are the things she and her peers and your family and what was going on in the streets. This is what was hot, at least in her world, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So Cyndi Lauper, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, pop and rock singer, dropped out of school, started writing, and formed a band with keyboardist John Turry. And there was a little rockabilly influence. Released Blue Angel, kind of flopped. She filed for bankruptcy, and then the group kind of like dispersed a little bit. But then again in 1983, her manager and boyfriend David Wolf secured her a contract with the CBS distributed Portrait, which is who the label that this is on right now. Can you see that? Yeah, I want to make sure I'm holding it right. Portrait, just red, kind of fancy writing that says Portrait. I thought it said Portrail at first. Portrayal at first, but Portrait. They released her debut single called "She's So Unusual," and helped by heavy MTV support of the first single and video, "Girls Just Wanna Have Fun," like super girl anthem. The album became a major hit in the spring of 1984, eventually climbing to number 4 in the U.S. charts. It went platinum 5 times. It was hit in the UK and Europe. And the song peaked at number 2 and stayed there for 2 weeks that same year. The follow-up was Time After Time, which peaked at number 1 and stayed there for 2 weeks. The next hit is the one we're about to hear, written by Cyndi Lauper and several other people. It's called She-Bop. Right here, our last song of Mommy's Pocketbook, episode 31. So yes, that's She-Bop right there, Cyndi Lauper, written by Cyndi Lauper herself, of course, along with Stephen Lunt, singer, songwriter, producer, and our executive for Jive Records, who's also worked with Britney Spears and NSYNC. Gary Corbin, who's a keyboardist and composer and producer, and Rich Chertoff, who was a producer with Columbia since 1980, also became senior VP of A&R in 1989 and started a record label called Blue Gorilla. Cyndi Lauper with the 1984 number 3 on the pop charts right there. She-Bop. Yes, this is released on Portrait Records. Started in 1976 by CBS. The first artists on that record label were Joan Baez, Barbara Cummings, and the McCrarys. Yes, we're going to listen to the B-side. We're going to just jump right on in. This is the last song of the episode 31 of Mommy's Pocketbook. Looking into the past and seeing what the youth and young adults of the 60s, 70s, and 80s would listen to, what was hot in the streets, what was in Mommy's Pocketbook. This is the last song of the episode. It's called Witness, written by Cyndi Lauper and her first band partner, John Tory, who was also a keyboardist. Like I said, this was released on Portrait Records and might not be one of the big major Atlantic MCA type things like that. However, guess who else was also on Portrait Records? Remember, You Giving Me the Sweetest Taboo, released on Portrait Records by Sade. You remember Smooth Operator, released on Portrait Records by Sade. Remember Never As Good As the First Time. That Sade had her first couple of singles were when she was on Portrait. So don't sleep. It was revived. Portrait Records was revived in 2008 by a UK affiliate of BMG. They may have fizzled in and out. And so if you're looking for any repress, remasterings of these, you're going to probably have to holler at Big Daddy Sony. Anyway, without further ado, let me give you the last song of the evening. It is the B-side of that EP. It is called Witness, written by Cyndi Lauper herself and her first band partner, John Tory. Our last song of the evening. That's her song called Witness. It was the B-side to her number 3 1984 single She Bop. Remember I said make sure you give Cyndi Lauper her props, give her her flowers while she is still here. You see her on the commercials advertising skin creams. You've seen her on The Apprentice. She released the autobiography in 2012 called Cyndi Lauper, a memoir. She wrote and scored Broadway's musical adaptation of the 2006 film Kinky Boots, of which was nominated for 13 awards, 13 nominations, and she won for Best Original Score, won a Tony for that, and she's the first woman to do that. So, flowers to Cyndi Lauper. Thank you for tuning in to witness this episode 31 of Mommy's Pocketbook. I appreciate you greatly. Each and every Saturday we do it. 10 random records from Mommy's Pocketbook to see what was hitting on the streets back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s for the youth and young adults of yesteryear. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you didn't catch this live, you can always catch it later on YouTube at Kane Dizzle. I'm Zombie signing out. Thank you so much. See you later, alligators.